Revenge films.
My name is Alan. I haven't been feeling well these days, and when I went to the hospital, the doctor told me that I needed to be hospitalized. I've been really busy with work and hadn't been able to take good care of myself recently. I told my wife about being hospitalized and what I needed to do in preparation for it.
I see. I understand.
My wife was pretty cavalier about it, and I was caught off guard because I thought she would want to be concerned about my health. I was getting ready for my stay at the hospital, which was scheduled for the following week. The day before I was due to be hospitalized, my wife had packed up her things and was getting ready to go somewhere. When I asked her where she was going, she answered in a matter-of-fact manner.
I'm going on an overseas trip with some friends from tomorrow.
What? Why now? I'm gonna be staying in the hospital from tomorrow. I thought that my wife was crazy for scheduling an overseas trip at the same time as my hospitalization. But she didn't seem to care what I thought because she was also packing her passport. Don't you care about me at all? I'm going to be hospitalized.
I'm not going to be of any use to you, so I might as well enjoy the time that you're away from home.
I couldn't believe the words coming out of my wife's mouth. I was sick and I needed to be treated. Yet my wife didn't care, and she was looking forward to going on a fun trip with her friends. What about her son?
My parents are going to look after him, so it's not a problem.
I asked her why she didn't discuss this with me beforehand.
I've been planning this trip with the girls way before you told me about your hospitalization. Your timing couldn't have been worse.
I didn't hide the fact that I was really annoyed. I was pissed off, but I didn't feel like arguing with her. I reluctantly agreed to her going on her trip. I told her that I would stop by her parents' place to drop off our son. To that, she told me that she didn't want me to go see her parents because she hadn't told them that she would be going overseas for her trip. My wife's parents are hardworking and decent people, so my wife knew that if she told them where she was going, they would try to stop her. So I decided that I would go directly to the hospital without seeing my in-laws.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling better than yesterday, thank you.
Oh, please call me if you need anything.
I couldn't call my wife to ask her to bring me the things that I needed to the hospital, so I lay in bed feeling helpless. I asked some of my friends to come to the hospital to keep me company. They were kind enough to bring me the things that I asked for. One day, one of our neighbors came to visit me in the hospital. I thought you went on that girls' trip with my wife.
Which trip are you referring to? I have no plans to go on a trip with the girls.
That's when I realized that my wife had been lying to me about the trip. She wasn't with the girls. I suspected that she was cheating on me. It made sense. Recently, my wife would go out in the evenings and come home very late. Inside, I was angry about it. But I didn't feel like fighting with her, so I didn't say anything. I didn't think that my wife would go on a trip with her lover while I was in the hospital, though. I was really pissed off, and I came up with a plan for revenge. A few days later, my wife came back from her trip as planned. I waited for her return at the airport so that I could catch her with her lover. I called out to her as soon as she came out of the arrival gate. How was your trip?
Oh, you came to pick me up. How sweet of you.
Get in the car. Let's go.
Why the rush?
I then drove my wife to a law firm. They specialized in divorces. When we got to the office, my lawyer and my wife's parents were waiting for us.
What's going on? Why are my parents here?
Who did you go on that trip with while I was in the hospital? I know that you weren't with the girls, so...
What? I was with the girls. Why would I lie about that?
Then my wife's father became very angry. I don't know who you went on that trip with, but how could you leave your husband alone in the hospital? What were you thinking? The lawyer stepped in and began to talk about what was going to happen next. Your husband would like to file for divorce.
Why?
Do you need to ask why? I was really angry, but I tried to hold it in. I don't trust you, and I can't continue to live under the same roof as you. I was pretty surprised because my wife agreed to divorce me without putting up a fight. I suppose she didn't care because she still had her lover, and she wouldn't be living alone even after the divorce. Could I please ask you to sign these papers?
Yes, I will. I can't force my husband to stay married to me if he no longer wants to.
My wife then signed the divorce papers. The lawyer collected the papers from her and moved on to the next topic. Let me move on to the next topic. Your husband would like to sue you for cheating on him. He asks that you pay him $50,000 as alimony.
But why? I didn't cheat on my husband.
Why was she lying to my face? Was she confident that I wouldn't find any evidence of her infidelity? Or was she simply trying to lie her way out of trouble? I couldn't tell. I then brought out all the evidence that my private investigator had collected on my behalf. Are you still going to deny the fact that you cheated on me?
So you knew? And you hired a private investigator?
I'm sure that your lover's wife is also being informed as we speak. She'll end up leaving her husband too. After hearing that, my wife began to panic. She hadn't predicted that I would sue her or ask her to pay me for the damages, but she had to pay for her crimes. She really hurt me. Besides, she probably used my hard-earned money to go on dates with her lover, so the least she could do was pay me some money.
It was just a fling, so please don't sue me. I don't have that kind of money.
It's too late to ask for my forgiveness.
I only started seeing my lover because you showed no interest in me. I wanted you to love me more.
You're one to talk! I asked you on dates on my days off for work, but you never wanted to go out with me. My wife's parents were becoming very angry as they stood and listened to our conversation. Why did you go on that trip when you knew that your husband wasn't feeling well?
It was reckless for you to take on a lover.
They blamed their daughter for her irresponsible behavior. My wife was in deep distress because she hadn't predicted that things would go this way. My wife's parents promised me that they would make sure that their daughter paid me alimony. After that, the lawyer wrapped up the meeting. Your home has already been sold, so please be ready to move out within 1 week.
What? Why did you do this? I had no idea.
Now that we're getting divorced, there's no need to keep up our house. My wife glanced at her parents to see if they would lend her a hand, but they both shook their heads. They weren't gonna let their disgraceful daughter move back after what she did to me. My wife then realized that she was completely on her own, and she went into a panic.
Can't we do something about the $50,000 alimony? It's too high. You used to love me, remember?
I think that amount is more than reasonable. I wasn't gonna let my wife lower the amount of alimony. She needed to pay for my mental suffering. My wife pleaded, but her parents told her to stop because she was starting to look more pathetic than she already did. Regarding the custody of your child, your husband would like full custody. Let us know if you oppose to this.
If my husband wants to live with our son, then that's fine by me.
Regarding child support payments.
You're asking me to pay even more?
She was trying to make me look like the bad guy, but I had every right to ask her to chip in with regards to finances regarding the raising of our son. The lawyer explained that when a couple gets a divorce, the parent that doesn't live with the child is obligated to pay child support to the other parent. To my horror, my wife then began to say that she wanted full custody of our child. To that, my wife's parents said that they didn't want their grandson to be raised by such an irresponsible parent, and that they wanted me to have full custody. They persuaded my wife to give up her parental rights.
Why is this happening to me?
It's because you left me in the hospital all alone and went on a trip with your lover. You shouldn't have cheated on me in the first place.
I told you that it's not all my fault.
How do you think I feel? Being betrayed by the mother of my child. It was really hard and lonely for me to battle my sickness on my own. I wanted and needed you by my side, but you left me for your lover. I did not want her to get the wrong idea. I was the victim, not her. My wife didn't love me. She had, she would have taken better care of me when I was hospitalized. Does she even remember that I was hospitalized recently? I spoke to my wife and her parents about the next steps to take. My wife barely spoke because she was scared that her parents would start yelling at her again. Her father couldn't forgive her for leaving me all alone at the hospital. How could she have flown overseas with her lover to go on a romantic trip? My wife's parents apologized to me profusely for their daughter's bad behavior. After my divorce was finalized, I moved to a completely new neighborhood with my son. At first, I was worried about raising him all by myself, but things worked out in the end. My parents and friends came over from time to time to help me with my son. As for my wife, her parents completely cut her off. But they were gracious enough to pay the alimony on her behalf. My wife lives in a rundown apartment and works multiple part-time jobs to pay for her living expenses. And she broke up with her lover in the end because they blamed each other for their affair becoming public. In the end, my wife and I got divorced without her ever knowing what kind of sickness I had. I guess she never cared enough about me to ask. I sometimes worry that my son misses his mother, but for the time being, he seems happy, which makes me feel relieved. I imagine that my ex-wife never really took good care of our son in the first place. If I ever get the opportunity to get married again, I'd like to choose my new partner more wisely. I'm unlucky in love because I always seem to attract the wrong type of women. Something that I'd like to change.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.